All right. So, welcome, Krav Lifers. Today I've got a special guest, Mr. Anthony Segal from I Defend Krav Maga in South Africa. So, Anthony, how
Yes.
are things going? How are things going for you there in South Africa, pandemic-wise, I guess? Like, how's the situation?
First of all, thank you very much to Krav Life for the opportunity to have a chat with me. Things have definitely taken a little bit of a more positive turn, but obviously with COVID hitting South Africa and worldwide, it took quite a knock on the studios and interaction of students partaking in the class. So I took a dive in people coming to the class and therefore the funding to run classes. And this is what I do, my full-time job. So it took a bit of a knock on us, but since the doors have really opened up a lot more now, the people have become, I wouldn't say complacent, but they're a little bit more willing to interact now with the rules and regulations that we have here in South Africa, that windows are open in so many people in a dojo, sanitize your hands, fill in the temperatures, if you've been in contact with anyone, wear a mask during training, and we continue training. So it's been good.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. Where we are, we're still in full lockdown, so there's no classes going on.
Sure.
So let's talk a little bit about you. How did you get started in the martial arts? Like, was Krav your first art, or did you come from a different martial art background?
So at a very young age, I did a bit of judo, but obviously,
Yes.
I was young and, taken there by my parents, but I didn't really get into it and stopped, and I didn't do anything for quite some time. And then I started, like, with the respect of all martial art, which I mean complete respect to the taekwondo, to the judo, to the karate, as we were chatting earlier. These are all sports. Krav Maga is not a sport. It's a get in and get out system, which really grabbed my fancy on living in South Africa. This is what we do. And where I started was in an organization that did a little bit of Krav Maga, but it was very under the radar, where we did some training every 6 weeks and then did some other stuff during those weeks that we didn't do Krav Maga. And I started dibbling and dabbling into this, and I was about 18 years old when I started it. And I just liked it a lot. And then obviously went overseas to get more involved in the Krav Maga. And then a friend and I started up a little business together of Krav and teaching from kids and adults and anyone. And eventually, like, just started growing and seeing the different techniques that evolve to the same outcome, to how you do a disarm in a gun. The end of it is, have you made yourself safe? Are you safe with the people around you? Irrespective if you're grabbing the gun from the top, irrespective if you're grabbing it from the bottom, how you disarm, what is your outcome? And I started engaging and looking at various different martial art or various different teachers within the Krav Maga fields. I've had very good teachers, and I think what I've learned a lot from the teachers is that it's a world of knowledge. And as soon as you're not willing to continue to learn and say, listen, I'm a black belt, or I'm a first Dan, I'm a second Dan, you can't teach me anything, you're dead in this industry. You must be willing to open your mind to everything and learn from everyone. And I think that is the biggest thing. And this is what you have established as your stand, is that there's a lot of people out there, and like as you said, in Canada, there's not many car threats or hijackings, but South Africa possibly daily. So every situation has to apply, and maybe something that I can bring to Canada, you can bring to South Africa, and vice versa, because we're all here to learn. Like I always tell my students, Rather know it and not need it than need it and not know it.
Exactly.
And you know, you must always be a white belt, willing to open your mind to knowledge, no matter what your degree is in Krav Maga, because I can learn from a student tonight. So you must be very willing to keep that mind open.
And that's a very good philosophy, and I think in general, most Kravists do have that same philosophy, because that's the whole basis of Krav Maga, right? Is taking taking what works and using it, and if it doesn't work anymore, you find something better. That's what you use. So you said that like the studio that you were in did kind of two styles, right? You did a little bit of Krav, you did a little bit of something else. So what was it about the Krav that really,
Grab me.
interested you? Yeah, what grabbed you? There we go. That's the
What
word.
grabbed me? I think the realism of it, the living in South Africa, and the understanding that it can happen here, and being more aware of your surroundings in a day-to-day basis, where it doesn't matter if you're living in South Africa to going to Canada or going to Israel, being aware. And if your awareness is sharp, you are less to be a target, and then being like you know, not aware of your surroundings. So if as an easy target. So I think learning the Krav and what it actually stands for is just being more situational awareness, and that it can happen, and rather learn it than not have it. And yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that it's the realism of it, I think, that really grabbed me to the interest of it.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. I also like the simplicity of it, and how we're trying to boil everything down to a very simple system that works when you need it, right? Rather than something complicated that may or may not work.
You said something very interesting. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, no
You
problem.
said something very interesting, that there are many Krav Maga teachers and people that can teach you different styles and everything like that. And I think at the end of the day, you've got to take what works for you. And if the technique doesn't work for you because you're not 6'4" or you only 5 foot, if that technique doesn't work for you, throw it out. Find something that works for you, and don't focus on something that's not going to, because it's not a dress rehearsal. You don't have a second chance in life. You don't have that, let me just try that knife technique or that gun technique again. It didn't work, And I think it's very important that you've got to be able to train both sides, left and right, because you've got to be as dominant as you are on your stronger side than you are as your weaker side. Because if your guy holds you up and he's left-handed, you need to understand how to do the technique left-handed and vice versa right-handed. So also, it's very important to be humble in your knowledge, and not take it and start the fight at a school or in a bar or at a party or wherever it is, because we don't start fights. Krav Maga, we finish it. So we always try and disengage from it, de-escalate it before we engage. The last resort is engaging to everything that we've learned, but not rather than going out and looking for it.
Exactly. It's funny that you say that, and I'm looking for this. My wife and I were talking about this morning, how like sometimes, like you mentioned, that different arts are arts, right? Like, no disrespect to them, but they are arts, and Krav Maga is for real life. And I'm just looking, I saw this tweet this morning that perfectly described the difference between like the Krav Maga and MMA, because MMA is a big one for saying that you only need MMA, you don't need Krav Maga. But anyway, found the tweet. So it was about the fight between Randa Marcos and Luana Pinheiro, right? And so this was the tweet that was put out. After an illegal kick by Randa Marcos landed, Luana Pinheiro could not continue and was declared the winner by disqualification. And that was at UFC Las Vegas 25. So that stuff doesn't happen in Krav, right?
Yeah.
There are no illegal kicks. You don't get declared the winner if the other guy uses an illegal kick. Just like
Absolutely.
you were saying, it's you got one shot, right? So you need to know what to do.
And I think the important thing is, that it's got to be, Krav Maga is, you said it, the simplicity of it, where there's no katas to it or whatever. So someone at the age of 7 years old can learn Krav Maga to someone who's 70 years old and do. So it's just learning to use your body in the most simplicit way of just reacting if you have to react, and being able to understand that everything around you is a tool and you the weapon, and you can decide to either engage or disengage from that, and using your voice to help you do that.
Exactly. Now, you said that when you started really learning the Krav Maga, and you went overseas to learn, who did you train with? What were some of your experiences there?
So I've had some teachers through training in Israel, and going through some very good people. I went to Israel and I trained in Wingate, and then
Hmm.
um, I'm now under the training of IKI, which is Moshe Katz currently,
Hmm.
and I've had the federation chat to me. I've done some training when Itai Gill was here in South Africa. So there's been various different teachers, and I've had some teachers where been training with a teacher, Sensei Nino, where he's not actually in Krav Maga, but he's done various different sides of martial arts in the bodyguarding and CPO work, which he's also become a very big mentor to me, which I've been able to sit down and have coffee. And it's not about the rights or wrongs, but it's about teaching yourself and learning from others. And he put it in a very nice way. He said, you know, look at high school. You can go to grade 7 or grade 6 to matric, right? And then eventually after matric, you've got to go out and carry on learning. And sometimes the best teacher is yourself. You don't need recognition from teachers to know how good you are. If your teachers are giving you the recognition or wanting to hold you back because they don't want to let you go, you've got to be able to spread your wings and learn. So with saying that, I've had some great teachers, and I am very like proud to be part of federations and people and teachers that have taught me. And I am the first to say that if I don't know something, thank God I've got a very good source or background that I can go to people and say, I don't know, teach me, show me, and I'm willing to learn. And ignorance and having egos is not the right thing to have in this industry. It's about giving, because at the end of the day, you're teaching a human life. You know,
Hmm.
if if you're doing something wrong, you you're giving it to the student wrong, and therefore that can play a very devastating role in their life, and and then you've got to live with it. And I think, and like I might be rambling on, so you must just shut me up when you have to.
Oh, no.
But
No, you're good. This is
I,
interesting.
I think a lot of teachers are too scared to give their students 100% of themselves, because if that student leaves, he's going to open the dojo down the road or 2 blocks down, and he's going to take my school. So what does he do? He says to the students, I'm going to give you 100% of me. But what he does, he gives them 90%. And then that student leaves, and that student then thinks, I've got every bit of knowledge I've learned from my sensei. He opens up a school, so he says, I don't want to give my student everything, so I'm going to keep 10% away. And he then gives what he presumes 100%, but he's really giving 80% of himself or the knowledge that he knows. And by the time the fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, or 10th generation comes around, it's so watered down and so filtered that you're teaching wrong techniques, wrong stances, wrong things, and like you're dealing with, as I said, a human life. What, like, if someone came up to me and said, Sensei, like, thank you very much. I've learned everything I can. I've like finished my trick with you. I need to spread my wings and learn. Like, that's a feather in my cap saying, I'm proud of you. I acknowledge your learning and I believe that you can go on and open another school and grow yourself and learn and care. But if he has a problem, he knows that he can always come back to me and sit like I sit with other teachers, because it's humility and it's just general conduct of being a mensch and being able to talk to someone and say, listen, I don't know, help me, show me, teach me. Or a student came to ask me such a strange question, I don't know. Can I have your advice? Can you show me this technique? What am I doing wrong? How can I fix it? How can I help him? I had a student who phoned me up one year and said, I'd like to learn Krav Maga privately. And I said, okay, this is what I charge and everything. And I thought, okay, they paid me. I went to the house to do their one-on-one sessions. And I thought it's going to be an ordinary class, an ordinary session with this person. And I got there and the person had no thumbs.
Okay.
I had to now think and adapt my session or adapt the techniques to teaching without a thumb, because that's the way they have to live their life.
Exactly.
And it was a learning curve for me. It was a learning curve for her. And we both got out of it just what we came for, and it was, I've done people. I'm working now with a group of people who are in a rehabilitation center for alcohol and drug rehabilitation, which is building self-esteem and a bit of fitness and a bit of energy and a bit of being a man again and accountability for themselves. And they think like, well, great, this is a great class, this is a great session. But the truth of the matter is, I'm getting the blessing, I'm getting the enjoyment, because it's like planting a seed and watching it grow, like into that blossom of that flower or whatever, from not learning how to hold a punch to creating a punch to knowing how to stand properly, your stance properly. And it's just a wonderful journey to watch people grow from when they walk into the dojo to where they come when they decide to continue and grow into their brown belts, black belts, and gray in first dan, second dans.
Yeah, and I think you're hitting it right on the head that that we need to work together. It needs to be a community, and that's exactly what we're trying to do here at Krav Life is connect every Kravist in the world together so that we can learn from each other and keep each other safe, right? Because that's right, to go home safe is one of the precepts, right? So we need to do all we can to disseminate that knowledge. Now you were talking about um, modifying techniques and stuff like that for different students, and that is definitely important. How how do you feel like your background and training has kind of helped you be able to do that for your students?
So my background, I think, has, with the guidance and the help from teachers I have had, like I have like been stumped in a situation, but then I say, let's move on to something, and then I go and I talk to people, I research it, or see what the difference, I, you know, and it's not giving up. It's not showing, like, I think my dream, like, and one of my greatest privileges was I taught a autistic child,
Mm.
and that was like, and I became like his older brother, and it was like, when you have I can't dance because I've got two left feet, and, and literally teaching someone who's number one on the spectrum of autism,
Mm-hmm.
and and the ability to change their mindset and every step, because as much as I was teaching, I was also learning. And it's the same as when I was teaching that student of mine with no thumbs. I was also learning, because it was something more for my toolbox, that if I come up to another experience like this, I've actually done the training, I can actually adapt it and I can work with it and show the next person how to be better, how to do this. And the autism child as well. It was just a phenomenal experience that, and it's the hardest thing is because, the students become like they walk into the class or you have a private and it's a student. I'm walking in, getting paid and I'm teaching you and I'm leaving. But with Krav Maga, you actually become family, and
Mhm.
it's it's now so, like, I take it to heart when something goes wrong, because it's something that I've done wrong that I've passed on, or something to that. And like if it's an hour class and they're not understanding the technique, I'll stay another 20 minutes, another half an hour if they've got that time to spare, to get that technique so they can understand it. And I think the biggest lesson that we've got to learn is there's different types of people in this world, that how they learn, in which way they learn. So you've got the visual guy who can, like, watch a video or watch a DVD or watch something in a class and see how the technique works. You've got the person who can like read see the two people doing a 360-degree block, and read it. Okay, he puts his arm this way, he puts his arm that way. That's a 360. And then you've got the third person who actually has to physically feel the pain of the wrist to wrist, the block, how it's done, how it's at, to actually understand. So you've got to be able to adapt and teach any walks of life. And it doesn't really matter about color or religion. And at the end of the day, as you said, the main thing is walking out and coming home alive. That's first prize.
Exactly. So you've been, how long have you been teaching exactly? Like how long have you had your studio? How long have you been teaching?
So teaching I've been doing for about 8 years, give or take, 8 to 10 years.
8 to 10? Okay.
Yeah,
That's a good amount of time. Um,
yeah.
and have you had your own studio that entire time, or did you
So
teach?
so my teacher, my teacher and my dearest friend, Jeff Miller, who was my teacher. I engaged with him a lot, and then we opened up a first studio together, which, we had two students. Our rent was like 1,000 rand. Two students together was paying 500 rand, and we were paying 500 rand out of our own pockets. And it was like, people were turning around and going, close your doors, go get a real job, just do, like, have something. And it will come, it will come. Two students became four became six. And then it became like, then you were, thank God, then you had like a juniors and seniors. And then the seniors turned around to us and said, we can't train with 10-year-olds in the same class. It's just, and then we split the classes between having a junior time and a senior time. So then on a Tuesday, it was like 5 to 6:30, and then seniors was from 7:15 in the evening till 8:30. And it started to grow, and then it was growing nicely, and then COVID hit and it threw the students out. But I also had a lot of corporates. We were doing anti-hijacking courses, prevention of sexual assault, bully-proof programs, matrics leaving school and going into the big bad world, giving them a bit of self-confidence. So it was going, but thank God there has been a bit of an interest now, and people are realizing that, even though COVID is here, the threat level is not going away. In fact, in some cases, that's actually quite higher, because there's no work, there's no money, there's no income, there's no jobs. So I need to, like, now learn how to protect myself, because it's becoming a little bit more real.
And so let's talk a little bit about that reality in South Africa. Like I do have several students that are from South Africa, and they all say the same thing. They say that well, it depends on the area, but that in general, South Africa can be a very dangerous place. So is this something they're saying, or is it, what is the reality for people in South Africa?
It is it as, like, bad as people say. It depends on where you go and how you live your life and where you put yourself into something. You know, I teach a lot about colors of awareness,
Mhm.
and um, colors and situational awareness. So if you're coming to an area and you're not knowledgeable about the area, learn about the area before you go into it. And if you don't like the area, don't put yourself into it. So I think the things that are happening in South Africa is a lot more brazen now. There was maybe a time that was like, okay, 11:30 at night, you'd have a house robbery, or they'd cut your electric fence and steal the car, or open the gates, or whatever, or hijack you on the way home at a robots or whatever. But I think now it's becoming a lot more brazen, where they will do it at 2 o'clock in broad daylight in the afternoon and rob you at a robot with no problem. So situational awareness, if you are situational aware of not allowing to be put in a situation, I think the risk of being
Mhm.
attacked or hurt or anything is less. But you know what? I do still say that, some people think, oh, listen, you live a very paranoid life. You're always carrying, you're always doing this, you're always doing that. No, it's not living a paranoid. It's just being prepared. It's just being acknowledging that this is the country I live in, this is the country I choose that I live in, and these are the things that might or might not happen. But I rather have something or know something than not know it and not have it on me. Even a basic pen, to carry a pen with me, how your pen can be very effective. So, when we talk about, is South Africa bad? Um, yeah, it is bad. But when you're talking to someone overseas and they go, yeah, but I believe that they're like lions walking around, and it's like, like, no, that's not something. That's the game reserve. Okay, in South Africa, we don't have lions walking around in our streets and giraffes, and that's the game reserve. You can go to the game reserve and you can see that we have traffic, we have taxis, we have accidents, we have motorbikes, like normal day-to-day life. But
Yeah.
it's like a guy who has an accident in the back of he goes into the back of a car, or a taxi, you have a fight with a taxi, the chances of the taxi having an illegal firearm and pulling out and pointing at you is quite high. So you
Oh
don't
wow.
engage with it. You don't engage with it. So he hits you, or he drives and he just stops to pick up passengers. There's no stop. Oh, this is a collecting area. This is a stop area. This is an unload area. Whatever. He can stop where he likes. Do I want to engage with him because uh, I feel that I have the right in South Africa? I don't know what he's carrying. I don't know if he has, or there's 15 guys that are getting public transport in his taxi, or 20 guys in his taxi, and I'm one guy driving to work. Do I want to put myself into that? So I know when driving in these taxis, keep a following safe distance, so I don't have to engage into an altercation of having some problem with him.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's part of the whole thing is you don't know, right? Like you have to keep your temper in check because you don't know what the other person's carrying. Like
Sure.
the one time I went, where was I? I think I was in New York, upstate New York, and we went to dinner, right, with just a bunch of Kravists, and we all went to dinner and everything. And over the course of the dinner, I kind of figured out that I was the only one not carrying a gun. And
Yeah.
I'm just going, and they were baffled, like, why are you not carrying a concealed weapon? I'm like, because I'm from Canada and we don't do that,
Because
right?
we don't have gun disarms in Canada. We carry knives, rather.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is different, but it kind of highlighted because you know you don't know, and before going into that restaurant, some guys had driven by and were kind of harassing the females in the group, lewd comments and stuff, but they're just like, I ignore it and go in, and I'm like, all right. you know, we in Canada, we might have said something because there's a much lower chance that they're going to pull out a gun and shoot us from the window. But after sitting in the restaurant, realizing that I'm the only person without a gun, going, well, if I'm the only person without a gun, what were the odds that the people in that truck that drove by also had a gun?
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
So you don't know that stuff. And this is that whole train for your reality. And if your reality is different, yeah, you got to know before you go in. And
I think it's very important to also, like, a lot of young students actually, get arrested in various countries when they go, if it's Amsterdam, if it's London, if it's Israel, if it's Canada, or wherever it might be. They've done their matric and they go and they get arrested for something very simple, like carrying a flick knife in their pocket as a day-to-day thing that we live in South Africa. And I think it's very important when you are traveling and you are coming into a new country, even if it's a holiday or if it's for business or whatever, understand the rules and understand the law of that country. Because it's what we carry, like a little flick knife in our pocket, you're not allowed to carry a knife in London. You carry a knife in London, you'll get arrested as a civilian. So learn the rules and learn the law about the country before you travel. If you are going on holiday, because it's important that.
yeah, in Canada, it's illegal to carry a knife for self-defense purposes, but you can carry it for any other reason. So if I have a knife in my pocket, all right, and the police say, "Oh, what's that knife for?" and I say, "Oh, it's for work," that's fine. But if I say it's for self-defense, that's illegal.
Yeah, but do you have to have a permit that's
No,
for work?
not for a knife. No, you don't need a permit
Okay.
for a knife. We only need permits for guns, and you're
Okay.
not allowed to carry a gun on you. So, like,
Unless you're law enforcement.
yes, law enforcement can, but I don't think they're allowed to carry it if they're off duty.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sure.
that I'd have to check into, but not. I don't think they're allowed to.
Sure.
But yeah,
Yeah, here
it's
in South Africa, there's a saying in the South of when there's different areas where you live in Joburg, the North, the Pretoria, then you got the South. There's a little joke that you go to a place in the South, they say, "You have a gun?" You go, "No," they give you one. Just like, like safeguard yourself.
as you're
Just
going
have the
in, it's
gun.
like, "Do you got a gun?" No, here you go.
Yeah.
Nice, nice.
Yeah. So, no, look, it's been an incredible journey for myself, especially coming from like a background of when I was a very young child of like having disabilities and being very sick as a baby, where I've grown. And I think, I was a couple of weeks ago, I was very sick. I landed up with tick bite fever and I landed up in hospital, and I got students to teach. And someone turned around, or a friend of mine turned around, and they said to me, "Why don't you like franchise or go out, like put a student that you've graded and let him run that school, you run that school." And so, your students become your friends. And without your students or without the people that you teach, you don't have an income, you don't have a business. So I don't just do things without. I like to put it onto the floor and get their word and their like what they feel. And at the end of the day, as much as it's like a business as a thing, the people want you because, when I teach, I teach with an essence. I teach with a passion that even though I've given the qualification to someone who's got a brown belt, he's got his way of teaching. But when you teach with a passion that, like, this is my child that I'm teaching, and he needs to do it right first time. If he can't get this technique right, we won't move on until this technique is drilled in hundreds of times to him.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the important thing of it.
Yeah, cool. So, like I said, here at Crowd Life, we have like a lot of our subscribers are from South Africa. If they want to train with you, where are you located?
So currently I've got 2 schools that I train in. One is in Craigle Park, and I can drop you an email on the locations and give you the addresses of those.
Yep, and they
And the
can.
one is in and then they can contact me directly. And the other is in Edenvale at the moment, as well as I do privates in the comfort of their own homes, as well as corporates, team building, development of getting them together, work together, reps on the road to teach anti-hijacking courses. Women, we do women courses for sexual assaults, how to protect yourself from an attacker. So we offer quite a lot.
And for people that are not in your local vicinity, do you have any sort of online training or online training courses?
So, obviously during lockdown, we engaged with a bit of, the online training, and it was okay, and to be honest. But the Hebrew word of Krav Maga is Krav is close, Maga is to touch, and the thing is it's not like doing a gym exercise. Okay, 10 push-ups. Okay, let's stretch those legs. Krav Maga is like, if you're not doing it right, I can't put my hand through the computer and fix your technique. And it was quite
Not yet, at
frustrating
least.
because yeah, it's not yet. Yeah, someone's working on it right now. But
Yep.
the it can be done, and I think if I do a Zoom with someone, it's preferably done with partners so they can do it together. We've done some workshops with a Beacon Foundation, which is a foundation for the underprivileged, where we've gone into Deep Slit, we've gone into Soweto for companies that do social development and keeping their status of their company up, because we have to have a rating in to keep your get your business or whatever. So the company says, okay, well, I need to have my rating still high. So they would say, okay, here's X amount of money to a charity. The charity pays me. I go and do a workshop, and that's their benefit, that they get their certificate saying that they're contributing to what they call CSR, which is their social investment for the country.
Oh, cool. All right. So that was an awesome interview. I enjoyed talking to you today.
Yeah, lovely.
And hopefully you'll be involved in our community, and our people will be able to reach out to you and ask you questions and stuff like that. So
Fantastic.
all right, so I'd like
So
to
you guys can get hold of me on Anthony@idefend.co.za or Segal.krav@gmail.com, and and then my website is www.idefend.co.za, and the addresses of both the dojos are on the website if you go to contact
awesome,
us.
and we'll make sure that we have you both your locations on our directory as well, so that people can reach you through there too.
Excellent. Well,
Cool.
thank you very much for your time, and thanks, and just be safe and look after your loved ones and be aware of yourself.
You too. Take care, and hopefully we will talk again.
Lovely. Thank you very much. God bless.
All right.
Ciao,
Good
ciao.
night.
Bye-bye.